So now let me tell you about the press conference that happened here. You saw Rosario Dawson and Shailene Woodley came on our air and talked about it.
No big
also,
deal.
Susan Sarandon, Danny Glover, Josh Fox were all there. And then Nina Turner came in and spoke. She was the person who was denied the ability to speak last night. Her credentials were not stripped. Last night we had a brief discussion about that, and that was not the case. But she was supposed to speak at the convention, and she was replaced by Tulsi Gabbard, also a huge Bernie Sanders supporter. But obviously, a lot of people were hurt by that. They thought Nina Turner does a great job of presenting their side. So here we had the coalition of 57 who came out to say several things. This also explains the protest from last night. And one of the organizers is Jill Yorty, an Alaskan co-organizer with the coalition of 57. She said, there's a perception that Hillary has squandered an opportunity to embrace progressive Sanders supporters by making a VP pick that is not representative of the integrity that we crave. Instead, her pick is underwhelming and trends towards a centralist mentality. I think actually I would have been harsher with that language. I would have said corporatist mentality rather than centrist. So, but they're very respectful. They just say, hey, listen, if we were looking for an olive branch, but you gave us Tim Kaine, who's another corporate Democrat. So if you're wondering why we're upset, that is among the very legitimate reasons why we're upset. And then speaking of their tone, they wanted to thank the police. So Jeffrey Eide, a North Dakota co-organizer with Coalition of 57, said, I cannot express more gratitude regarding the professionalism and courtesy extended to the Coalition of 57 and every Bernie Sanders delegate. Philadelphia should be immensely proud of their extraordinary police force and their commitment to keeping the peace. I witnessed that myself here. There was no need to get further confrontational, and the cops didn't.
No.
Look at that. It was wonderful. It was the most peaceful protest I've ever seen. The cops let it happen, let them exercise their First Amendment rights, and then they dissipated. At that point, there was rumors of, are they going to arrest him? Well, there was really nothing to arrest him for. They didn't, and voila, everything's fine.
No disaster.
Everything was fine.
When we were all just kind of scattered around covering what was happening with that protest independently. I was live streaming on my page, and the Young Turks page was live streaming as well. The one thing that I mentioned over and over again was, wow, the cops are incredible here. They're standing back. They were monitoring the situation, and they were allowing a democratic process to take its place. And I love that,
And it turns out if you're restrained, you know what people do? They protest and they go home.
Yeah, exactly.
So, great.
To get the message across.
Yeah, and one last thing from the Coalition of 57. They said this was a first step towards organic unity and authentic dialogue that moves away from the scripted narrative that Sanders supporters have experienced this week. I actually think that's the best point, because they're saying if we have a dialogue, it'll be real, and then we'll understand one another. We don't have to agree on everything, but at least we'll have heard one another. Instead of what we've been seeing this convention, they're right about this, which is just get unified. It doesn't have to be real. Just take away the Bernie sign, put up a Hillary sign, and then we will seem unified. No, that's not real, authentic unity. That authentic unity comes from a mutual understanding of one another, even if you don't agree on every issue. So I really think it could have been handled a little bit better here by the Clinton campaign. And I like a very reasonable statement from these protesters saying, this is what we were looking for, and it's not too much to ask for.
It's interesting because speaking to Rosario Dawson and Shailene Woodley kind of made me realize something. And at first I was like, I don't know, we have the candidate that we have and I really don't want Trump to win. What should we do? And, just because she won the nomination doesn't mean that, Bernie Sanders supporters shouldn't continue pushing Hillary Clinton in the direction that they see fit, right? So yeah, there is a lack of party unity right now, but I do love the idea of further pushing her to the left. Bernie Sanders kind of started that, and they can continue doing it. But I'm curious to see what happens, let's say a month from now, if she refuses to budge and Bernie Sanders supporters continue to refuse to vote for her.
I'll do an analogy we don't need, but okay, Joe Lieberman was a Democrat I could not stand.
Yeah.
An enormous war hawk, a corporatist through and through, yada, yada. Is he better than Donald Trump? Yeah, he is. I can't stand him, but he's better than Donald Trump. Donald Trump, I'm afraid, would take the freedom of the press away, would hurt the foundations of our country and our constitutional rights and the rule of law. So, yeah, it's super hard to be worse than Donald Trump. George W. Bush probably isn't worse than Donald Trump. And he was hideous. And he started a gigantic war, et cetera. So, look, my point is, if Joe Lieberman was the candidate, I couldn't stand it. I would, if those are my two choices, I would still vote for Joe Lieberman, while I would push him the entire time not to be a war hawk, not to be a representative of Wall Street, and instead to be our representative.
Yeah.
Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Ranked voting takes care of that. Man, if we had that in America.
And so that, let me end on that then. That's among the many solutions we can get to. So let's fight for those solutions. We don't have them now. So we're going to have to make a decision in the short term about who we're going to vote for. You guys are going to make that decision. I can't make it for you. But that doesn't mean you stop fighting for those things. If you think ranked voting is the answer, then by God, double your energy on that. If you say, look, I'm not excited about Hillary Clinton and you can't make me excited, yes, fine, I'll hold my nose and I'll vote for her. But then take your excitement and use it for Wolfpack, ranked voting, however you think we're going to actually fix the system. Don't let your excitement dissipate. Use it for the real solutions and real change. And then on that particular day in November, vote whatever you think is going to make the country better. That's it.
Yeah.
Can I just make 2 quick points about what's happening? And that I've said it before that I didn't think Hillary Clinton was a good politician. Not only was she a flawed candidate, she's a bad politician. And this is just more of it. So the organization, the Democratic National Committee, has taken on the personality of its leader, and it's hubris, Cenk. It's hubris because you'll ask anybody in politics who said that they were thinking about running for president, they wouldn't be taking $800,000 this year before from Goldman Sachs for giving speeches. And they just say that's just crazy and that's hubris. And what's happening right now is the same thing. Why wouldn't you give lip service to these people? Why wouldn't you let Nina Turner talk? It shows strength.
Yes.
What they're doing now shows what this is. This is not unity. This is conformity. And that's not what Democrats are about. That's not what liberals are about. So it goes against our basic nature. And that's what's happened. So you're not going to have unity. What they really want to have is conformity.